All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Downtown Brantford Business Improvement Area Board of Management meeting, May 12th, 2021. First of all, I need to welcome and want to welcome Councillor John Utley to our board. And John has a history with the board before me, and we're excited to have you back. Thank you, Councillor Utley.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I have a long history and some of it's even good.
Very good. And secondly, I'd like to welcome officially Lizanna Coster, who has now joined us officially as a board member. And I know that Lizanna has so much to contribute to the board, and welcome you as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a few housekeeping. Everybody knows this by now, but let's just remind you that the procedural rules for virtual meetings. Please keep your microphones muted if you are not speaking. It just helps with the background noise. If you have to disappear, please leave your video on to let us know you're still here. Please raise your hand if you have a comment. And if we lose connection that affects quorum, or if anything affects quorum, we will wait for 15 minutes. And if quorum hasn't been established or connection hasn't been established, then we will adjourn the meeting. I believe those are the basics. All right, Annette, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes, could you please respond when I call your name? Barbara Sutherland.
Here.
Carrie Korfman.
Here.
John Utley.
Here.
Karen Towler.
Here.
And Anne-Marie Boak.
Here.
Joshua Wall.
Here.
Dwight Rose.
Here.
Lizanna Coster.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We'll go into item number 2, approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? Dwight, thank you. Second. Karen, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Any declarations of interest, of conflict of interest? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to 4 delegations. We have none, and 5 consent items. So 5.1 are the minutes of the April 14th Board of Management meeting, and we'll combine that with our reports from our staff of April and May. May I have a motion? Dwight, thank you. Seconder? I need a seconder. Carrie, thank you. Any discussion on the minutes or the report? Seeing none, we'll move on to the vote. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Good. Now we're on to number 6, the beautification project. I've asked Annette if she would speak about this at this meeting. Go ahead, Annette.
All right, so Barbara had looked into getting artwork in some vacant windows in the downtown just to animate them. There was some issues with that, so we kind of pivoted and started looking at some historical storyboards. Murray Angus is on Facebook and is doing some amazing stories about the history of different buildings downtown. He's posting some incredible photos. So I've been talking to him about putting those onto storyboards, and then we can post them in vacant windows. There's been conversations with a property owner on Dalhousie Street that is wide open and very supportive of doing this. So we thought, let's do one property, see how it goes, send it out to other property owners to see if they would like to do it as well. So we need some funds to be able to move forward with that. So the executive committee was suggesting up to $2,000 to move forward with this.
Thanks, Annette. All right, so now the motion is on the table from the, it's not on the table. The motion proposed by our executive committee Dwight, are you proposing the motion?
Yes, I'll move forward with the motion as stated. Yep.
Carrie, are you seconding? Yes, okay, seconded by Carrie. Is there any conversation around this? Any questions? Go ahead, Councillor Utley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Murray Angus is a good friend of mine, and I've seen his collection of pictures, and they are truly amazing. And I think this is a great initiative. It is as our downtown is transforming from the past to the future with many beautiful buildings and developments. I think this is a great idea to retain our past as well, and it's it does a service to people that may not have known of the city's wonderful history, and I commend the executive for bringing this forward. It certainly has my support. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Utley. Any further discussion? All right. Oh, Councillor Wall.
Couple questions. Who's the property owner?
Who is the property owner?
Yeah, that we're going to be doing this for.
Annette. Jeff, the property
Jeff-
owner is Jeff Stickman?
Jeff Glickman.
Glickman, sorry.
So what is the property?
The former Alt Boutique is the property we wanted to start with.
And that's a fraction of the $2,000 budget for this project, right? That's not the whole budget.
No,
Oh, no, no.
Okay, so the $2,000 is to do numerous properties.
Mhm,
Then
yes.
it's a pilot project of. Okay, sorry, I was just seeking clarification on that.
That's good. I'm just
Right,
going to,
Barbara?
yeah, go ahead, Annette.
I missed the seconder.
It was
Okay.
Carrie. It was Carrie. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions or discussion? Go ahead, Dwight.
I think to answer Councillor Wall there, this is a pilot project, and it's not any one property owner. We're looking at various properties if they'll allow us to put these history pictures, if you want to call it, or stories of Brantford in their locations there, so we can, as part of our mandate for beautification. And I think it's great going forward. It's rather than looking at boarded up and papered windows and that. So that was the whole gist of our emphasis on this. And Murray Angus is great on it, and I think it's just a wonderful project. And as a pilot, we'll see how it works out. I think it'll work out marvelously, and we can rotate it around, and different people. There'd be a lot of people want to get involved, probably. Yeah.
Thank you, Dwight. Karen?
2 questions. Is this going to be a permanent affixation to the window, or is what Dwight's saying alluding to the fact that it can be moved? And is $2,000, just to be clear from what Councillor Wall was saying, does that cover just that one window, or how much is it per window, I guess is what I'm getting at. For $2,000, what bang are we getting for our buck?
Do you want to answer that, Annette? You have the numbers.
Sure. It's going to cost approximately $100 to $120 per storyboard. So we're looking at about 3 by 5 feet. Some properties could probably accommodate 4 or 5 storyboards in each window. And what was the other question? Sorry. Oh, they'll be movable. So they'll be hung, there'll be grommets on them. So if that space is leased out, we can move them to another property.
Fabulous. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? No. All right. I just have a comment, and I'm sorry, Councillor Utley. Speaking twice.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
If we look at the artwork that has been located around the downtown, I think a lot of fears were that they may be vandalized in some way, but that has not been the case to my knowledge. And I think it really does something. It transforms the down with those pictures, that artwork. It transforms the downtown with culture, and I anticipate this will be the same. Now, will the storyboards go inside, or they will, which protects it from, it's an extra precaution for vandalism. So I'm very, again, very pleased to hear that. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, you're welcome. Dwight, go ahead.
Not to beat this to death, but I think it's the start of some other things that we were looking at, which is wrapping the garbage containers and some of the power boxes is the same as the mailboxes and that. It seems as though when they're wrapped and something's on them, it stops the graffiti, and they're quoted so that the graffiti can be taken off easily if there is anything. So I was just adding that, not to confuse things, but this is a start. Yep.
Okay. If I may, I just want to add a comment, only because, excuse me, if you're driving downtown, you're walking downtown, we have numerous empty windows, and COVID has created some of those. Sometimes just, lack of interest, lack of enthusiasm, because we're into our second year of COVID, and our retailers have had a very, excuse me, very difficult time. However, to, new eyes on our city, it looks like we don't care. It looks like our windows are empty and they're broken, and it's the broken windows theory in cities, and it's a dangerous thing to let continue. And I think by filling these windows, we'll lift some spirits. We'll tell the history of our city, and particularly those buildings that the storyboards are going into, because we're hoping to pair the storyboard with the building and what its former glory was. We have beautiful, beautiful buildings in architecture in downtown, and and I think that this just needs to continue, and we need to fill those windows. I just wanted to mention that there will be inexpensive lighting on them, sort of uplighting on them at night. And so, the windows won't be dark. We'll actually have some light in windows where, a retailer would have provided that lighting. So having said all that, we have the one property owner who is very excited about this. In fact, he has offered to pay for the storyboards in his windows. And, hopefully we will find that as we move along, but some of our landlords are absentee. And so we'll do that as a service to our city, to our BIA, and to the people who are walking by, passing by. And that's it. That's the reason for this initiative. All right, go ahead, Lizanna.
Would the Beckett building be included? Because those windows really need some beautification.
Annette, do you?
The other thing, we try to put our lights on so that it's lit up every night with all of our stores. We have street, or right on the street there, we have our lights on all the time. So hopefully it helps.
Yeah. Annette, do you know the answer to the Beckett building?
Beckett building. Actually, we've only talked to one property owner so far. We want to get some boards up, get some photos, and then start approaching other property owners. We can show them this is what we're doing. It makes a lot more sense if you can see it. So once that happens, if anybody has suggestions or contacts for vacant properties, that would be great.
Good. Okay. All right. So we've been around the table a lot on this one, but I think it was worth it. Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
I'm sorry that I was technically challenged this morning. I'm late joining, but I do need to declare conflict of interest on this item. So I won't go further because I may or may not. GK York might be a property manager to one of these properties. So I'll just stay out of it, but my apologies for my tardiness.
That's quite all right. And thank you for declaring that, Kathy, because Yes, GK York is involved in one of these properties.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Okay. Any more discussion? All right, seeing none, may I call for the vote on this motion? All in favor? And any opposed? No, seeing none, carried. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to 6.2. The funding partnership with the Downtown Central Neighborhood Association. Annette, can you give us a little background on this as well, please?
The executive committee is suggesting a funding partnership with the Downtown Central Neighborhood Association in the amount of $1,000. Previous years, we had given them $500, I think for 3 years in a row. Last year kind of fell off the rails. I'm not sure why. I'll blame it on COVID. So we thought we would do something similar with them, like we do with Conestoga and Laurier, and be a yearly $1,000 contribution. I'm just trying to think of her name, sorry. Jamie attended the meeting last month, and the amount of things that the DCNA is doing for the downtown was incredible. And I think it surprised a lot of board members as to what they've been doing. So a lot of this money will be reinvested right back into the downtown with the businesses. So that's why the executive thought it would be a good idea.
Okay, could I have a motion to put this on the table? Councillor Wall? And seconded by Lizanna? Thank you. Any discussion? Councillor Wall?
So Annette said it very well, but they've got a really great group of volunteers on their board, much like we have a great group of volunteers on this board. And it's very challenging times with COVID, trying to come up with anything that they can do that doesn't involve getting 50, 60, 70, 100 people together actually in person. And, you know, coming up with great ideas or sponsorships or giveaways or reasons to get people together digitally with all this fatigue that many of us are having from getting together digitally, it costs money. And, you know, supporting this group, as Annette said, is just literally funneling money back into the downtown. You know, I imagine if they do use this money, they'll use it to purchase from businesses in the core, or, you know, if it's for whatever. But I strongly support this. Neighborhood association is incredible. It's made up of incredible people, and they are really going to shake things up, I think, in 2021. So couldn't be more happy to hear that we're going to do this.
Good, thank you, Councillor Wall. Any other discussion on this motion? All right, seeing none, I'll call for the vote, please. All in favor? And any opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. All right, we'll move on to 6.3, which is social behavior in the downtown. Sorry, Annette, I'm depending on you a lot this morning, but you know, you're a fountain of information. So do you want to explain why we've done this spreadsheet?
So I was asked to start tracking some of the calls, text, emails, Facebook messages, however I receive information, and from myself of incidents that are happening in the downtown. People will call me and say, what do I do about this? What do I do about that? So this is a tracking so far from April 13th to May 4th. Every day is something different. Somebody will ask me, there's people sleeping in a doorway. Who do I contact? What do I do? So this is just a tracking of those contacts that have happened.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Dwight.
Yes, I got good questions. I'm really concerned about some of these lockdown protests and some of these people. I mean, they've gone so far as to make serious threats. I know Brian Schwerb has been almost accosted and is almost criminal. He has had some threats. These anti-maskers and the other people we have are socially disadvantaged, but I think the protesters bring a whole new scope here, and businesses have the right to refuse people who will not follow the protocols with COVID and wear masks. And I really find this really disturbing, the nature of people. Everybody's entitled to an opinion and a comment, but when it borders on criminal charges and harassment, and a business owner has to close his business because it had serious death threats or to his business, that is a serious problem. So I don't know what we do to stem this off. It appears to be radicals as usual, but you know, you just can't let them carry on. But I know Sergeant Grantham has looked into this and the rest of it, but our businesses need to be able to conduct their businesses within the constraints, especially with lockdown, with the COVID problem on the go here. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Thank you, Dwight. Karen?
I guess my question is, what's the end goal of tracking this?
I'll answer that, Annette, if you like. The end goal is to highlight what the security, the police, special constables may be missing. And it's just to add to, you know, eventually just to add to their information and their statistics. And excuse me, I just think that it's, as this board, we should be aware of what, you know, just what Annette's seeing, what I'm seeing when we're driving down the street. And, you know, a lot of things can slip between the cracks. If our members are calling us and we're not reporting this to someone, then we're not doing our due diligence. And so we're going to forward this on to the security and to the police.
Great, thank you. So the
Okay.
communication will occur. Great, thank you.
It will, right. Any further comments, Councillor Wall?
Excellent, thank you. Annette, thank you for compiling this information. Noting that this is a live meeting, I'm not asking you to identify who made these complaints, but I would like to see it identified to know if these are coming from one source. Are these 30 different people who called? Is it one person who called 30 times? Is it 10 people who called 3 times each? Is without identifying any in particular person.
I would say out of everybody on this list, excluding myself, because I've called police and security, there would be maybe 6 different businesses that have contacted me.
And how many complaints in total are there here?
17, 18.
Okay. In the future, just if we're going to be tracking this during the meetings, I would definitely like to just see. I mean, I know Councillor Utley gets calls as a councillor, and I get calls as a councillor for the ward as well. I don't know. These are concerning, but I mean, this is additional to the calls that I'm also receiving, or you know, the walk-ins I get into my office, or getting stopped downtown by people as well. So my question, I guess, is kind of though, I think what Karen was saying, like, what's next then? Because many of these concerns that are noted here, I know that no one else can see what we're looking at here on the spreadsheet, but many of them are not necessarily crime. It's just societal issues. Like, it's not like somebody sleeping in a doorway is just a factor of like, where else are they going to sleep? You know?
You'd hope in a bed.
Yes.
Excuse me. Okay, I'll just bring this back to order. Lizanna?
I would like to speak to that because I'm one of them. And I have not even reported all of them. And I've called the police many times. And it's not just sleeping in your doorway. They put in their luggage, their carts, their everything. And we have customers, we have people that stay here. It's not a nice sight in the morning when they're all in there. We have them on the rooftop, which I haven't even reported. 3 in the morning, they're arguing and fighting. This is not just sleeping in your entranceway. This is way more. So I want to be one of them to say that I have called the police many times. I've called Annette many times. I've emailed. This is not just a simple sleeping in your doorway. This is your whole luggage. And they have a lot. And 2 of them, sometimes 3 of them, and they smoke crack and whatever. And I have photos of it, videos. So it's not just sleeping there. They also use it for crack smoking and whatever it's called. I'm not quite sure. So it's more than that.
Thank you, Lizanna. Dwight, did you have a comment?
Yes, I wanted to comment here. A lot of the calls that are coming into Annette here are not really calls for the BIA. Annette goes above and beyond her job and our job, our vision, and what the BIA stands for. I don't think people understand really what our function is and what's going on. They think we're able to do far more than what we are with things. And I find this disheartening because the city should be taking responsibility for some of this information. I know we have the safety there and everything else, but it's and Annette does a great job here, but it goes above and beyond. And as a business owner, I have to say the only way you can deal with the socially disadvantaged, and yeah, they do have to stay someplace, but it's tough love. I just put the run on them all the time, get rid of their stuff, and they are doing drugs. There's needles, there's all kinds of stuff there. And these people are very innovative. They charge their telephones, they carry on, and they do a lot of physical damage. They do a lot of stealing of different articles and stuff, you know, running around with the grocery carts full. You don't think this stuff is just, they pillaged it from someplace. That's where it's come. And it's not just all throwaway stuff neither. So I think we need a little bit more collaboration, and I think we need a little bit more communication in a proper time. Working from home sometimes isn't the same as when city was working from an established place, and that's a foregone conclusion. There's a number of cities are finding that out now, and especially with computer hacking and different other things going on as well. So this is something we've got to address with the city and find some way to get it resolved. And we need the help of the councilors, so Councilor Wall, Utley, but the whole city council and the mayor with things here. It's not just one thing here. So, but I find my best way to attack this or look at it is just tough love. I keep moving it on, and they stay awake. There's just no two ways about it. That's all it is. Yep.
Thank you, Dwight. Anne Marie?
Thank you. Good morning. Yeah, I hear a lot of, we need to move them on. We also need a lot of compassion for these people. I deal with them every single day, as I know there's a couple of people on the board that deal with them every single day. And we also need compassion. We can't just move them on because they're just going to go from your business to my business and back again. We need something else in place besides a firm hand. And I think that I've talked to these people. They hang out in my alleyway and not in my doorway, thank God, but and over in the federal building that's being built. And I just asked them, could you please clean up your stuff and move along? 9 times out of 10, they do not give me a hard time. They actually just pick up their stuff and move along. Yes, I'm sure there's other people that have had some difficulty with them, and I get it. But I think that we also need some compassion with these people and speaking with them as though they are human like us, rather than pieces of trash, will make a big difference in this instance. I'm sorry, I just had to put my 2 cents in there.
Thanks, Anne Marie. I think that was good 2 cents. Excuse me. Any other comments before we move on? Councillor Utley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's no doubt this is a very complex problem, one that doesn't get fixed easily. This has been going on for a number of years. So I did a little bit of research on people's rights, especially about not wearing a mask, and that the province sets a standard for safety. And I found out that what the province has done is a minimum standard. So if a business wants to go above and beyond, they can't go below that standard, but they can add their own safety precautions on if they so wish. And I had somebody that called me and challenged his right not to wear a mask, and I basically said, you don't have to wear a mask, but don't come complaining to me if you don't get service. It's up to the private business owners to make that call whether they want to serve you or not. So there's that side to it. The other thing about you see more barriers, metal barriers in place in doorways in the downtown area, and that's unfortunate. It certainly doesn't. It does one thing in preventing homeless people from congregating in those doorways, but at the same time, it does nothing or little to improve the image of our city. The other thing it's not going to happen immediately, but council approved a police services increase for 10 additional officers, and a number of those will be, and Sergeant Grantham, correct me if I'm wrong, I think about half of those officers will be assigned to the downtown area, which should help. And there's the other thing, the behavioral thing about showing compassion and trying to get these people into shelters instead of sleeping in doorways. And we can't force them to go into a shelter, but that's got to be part of a solution. There's something that these people can feel safe going into, and have the proper toiletry facilities that rather than defecate and urinate in people's doorways and God knows what else. So I just wanted to throw that out there, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Utley. Sergeant Grantham, sorry. So
Sorry, having technical difficulties here.
that's okay.
Just to speak to that, I know we are getting additional officers. I can't speak to where they're going to be deployed. That's up to the chief. I haven't heard anything at this point. With regard to the masks, and Councillor Utley has already spoken regarding this, you are well within your rights to refuse service if people are coming into your establishments. Their rights under the charter do not go above the rights of everyone else. So as long as you've got something in place and it's based on science, it's based on safety for your employees, for all of your other customers, then there's going to be no issues at all. Obviously, anyone can sue anyone and launch civil action. It doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere. So you guys are still good to do that. And if there's any issues, as I've always said, feel free to call us. That's what we're here for. We are at unprecedented low levels. I've just lost my last beat member for the homicide investigation. So right now I've got John Ballone kind of on a part-time basis. So I'll speak to that more once it becomes my turn here.
Thank you, Chris. Dwight?
I was just going to add here, I mean, we're talking, some of these people, it's a social culture thing here. And I'm noticing some of these people that are out there panhandling and so supposedly homeless, wearing designer clothes, designer shoes, and out there panhandling. So there's some people that are abusing the compassion and the goodwill of people, and they're not all the same here. And it's hard to understand who is truly homeless, who is truly suffering, and who is abusing the system and making a living out of it, panhandling. And that's That's just my observation. I don't see how you're homeless and wearing designer clothes, designer shoes. And having a cell phone, that just doesn't make sense, anyhow.
Thank you, Dwight. Any more comments? All right, seeing none, I'll just wrap this up by reiterating that the purpose of this spreadsheet and this information being collected by Annette is because of the phone calls and emails or texts that she's receiving regarding concerns, social concerns in our downtown. This is not meant to be highlighting criminal activity. Far be it from us to know the criminal code as to whether it's criminal or whether it's just social. The purpose is to share this again with the police, share it with the security in the city, and just to bolster some arguments if we need support arguments on anything that may move forward as far as dealing with our social issues in the downtown. Annette did provide our membership with an excellent marketing piece that was called Who to Contact. And so everyone has that piece, but not everyone remembers to do that, and Annette's an easy call. So that's why we've started doing this, and we will continue to do this and bring this forward every month in our agenda package. All right. Okay, we're going to move forward to development updates. Anything notable, Annette?
The pile driving has started on Erie Ave, which can be heard throughout the city. I also noticed the former Canadian Tire lot has started work going on there too. So this item is just for updates. I hear about all kinds of developments going on. So just making sure the board's aware of all of those.
Thank you. Thank you. Dwight, do you have a question?
Well, I just want to make a comment here. We've got other numerous projects in the city here that seem to be on hold for whatever reason here, especially on Market Street here. And it's quite frustrating for some of the developers. And I was just wondering if they couldn't move that along a little quicker. It would help us out with a lot of our socially disadvantaged problems. It would help these developers as well here, and moving along quicker, getting some development going. There seems to be a real undue holdup with these projects for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's can be, kind of steered along a little quicker, with the building department, or what the restrictions are. It just seems as though they're not moving as quickly as they could be. And if that's the reason everybody's working from home, or I don't know what the situation is, but we need to try to expedite these developments and help these developers out as much as possible. It's going to help us all in the long run with more customers and more building, more taxes, and the whole thing. That's all I was going to say. If the councilors could look into that, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, Dwight. All right. I don't see any more comments. So we'll move on to section 7, which is our subcommittee reports. And number 1 is Jamie Wilson-Ballore, but I don't think Jamie's with us this morning. No. Okay. All right. May Lig from Economic Development. Go ahead, May.
Thank you, Barb. The BRC, of course, we're still working from home, and we will be happy to be back in the office, but we have had many businesses reaching out to us. We have up to 40 consults a month. So there is a lot of interest in starting a business or just getting help with your business. And once, I'm sure you all know, we're going to be moving to the new City Hall later this year. And I'm happy to report, like, the BRC has a very visible spot in that new City Hall. It's right along the front aisle, really well marked and everything. And we will be happy to be downtown, back downtown where the businesses are. It is definitely not the same for us working from home. a few things going on. Summer company program that I mentioned at our last meeting, applications have opened. We have up to 28 applications. We only have 10 grants, and we have Melanie Mears is the coordinator of that program. And we have at least 15 like fabulous applicants. So I've actually shot out an email to see if we can get a few more grants. So that summer company is student grants for 15 to 29-year-olds. But I'll let you know what's happening with that, and also what number of businesses that are located in the downtown core of students starting up. Starter company, also mentioned at the last meeting, we have close to 30 people in this cohort, and really a fantastic group moving through. It is great to see these businesses that are like fantastic businesses going to open up in the city of Brantford. Once again, with that, we have 11 grants available, but we are working with 30 people moving through that one. Digital Main Street has been extended to the end of May, the end of May, and we have worked with 37 businesses. And once that program has wrapped up, I will let you know how many of those, once again, were located in the downtown. And also the Community Collaboration Project, which is a project that we had in partnership with shopbrantford.com and the Innovation Center in Hamilton. That was also extended, and we're at 33 businesses that we've helped through that program, and that will run to the end of May. And once those programs have wrapped up, I will give you a report and let you know which ones are up and coming in the downtown core. Thank you.
Thank you, May. That's really exciting news. Good. We'll move on to Jennifer.
Thank you, Barb. Just a quick update. We're still working on our Canada Day initiatives. We have 10 of them. Anything from Kahoot trivia to a virtual concert held at the Sanderson Center, which is going to be right on July 1st. We're promoting all the businesses within the city of Brantford for takeout. So there's a ton of initiatives that are happening, and that can still happen even if we're in red zone. So that's exciting. We're just waiting for approval from the EOC to move forward on summer programming in Harmony Square. If that moves forward, we'll have events like yoga, baby fitness, music in the square, items like that. So we're just waiting for approval from the EOC committee, and that's about it. But we're working hard on Canada Day and excited to bring some joy back into our community because we need to uplift some spirits right now.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Beth Gurney from Laurier.
Good morning. Thank you, Barbara. So I'm just going to start. I'm actually going to drop something in the chat that's a bit germane to the conversations this morning. We have a lecture series Laurier does in partnership with the Milton Library, but this evening's featured lecturer is Erin Day from the Brantford campus from the criminology program. And from 7 to 8, she's doing a virtual talk on the root causes of homelessness and how we can end homelessness in Canada. So it's 7 to 8 p.m. You just click the link, fill in your email address, and you get a link to join. It's actually, I think, even less complicated than joining a Zoom lecture. So it's pretty easy to use, but I highly recommend if anyone's interested, because it's she's a pretty respected expert in her field. And I know that our community is not alone in trying to grapple with, the best way to help folks that are in this position. In terms of the university fall planning, it's a similar update that I've given before, which is that we're on a weekly basis revising our scenarios. We're aiming for the most optimistic return to campus in the fall, recognizing that scaling back is easier than scaling up. So we're just watching closely, as things progress with the vaccinations. But our goal is to have, as much as possible in the fall and hopefully return to full normalcy by the winter term. The Lucy Marco Place shelter, which was leased to the city for a temporary shelter for some of our vulnerable folks in the community who need to have a safe place to stay due to COVID or maybe due to isolating, that agreement will wind up in June. It was extended briefly, I think, but they'll be leaving in June so that we have an opportunity to then give the building the preparation it needs to welcome students in the fall. The studentship, I may have mentioned this initiative already, but there's an update, so forgive me if I go on. We recognize that the students who are coming in first year university this fall have missed out on an awful lot. Like they've their prom, their graduations, all of those things. Their previous cohort missed their grad and their spring stuff, but this group has missed everything for a year almost. So, and we also recognize that the university plays a key role in downtown economic development and revitalization. So the university has allowed unrestricted funds to be accessed for a one-time only studentship for incoming first-year undergrad students. So the One Card program you might be familiar with, which is the students' sort of access to their buildings and to the gym at the Laurie Bradford YMCA and the library. It also is like a Tuck card, which we had when I went to summer camp, where they have a balance that they can use at the bookstore. But because we don't have food services in Brantford, they can also use it at the Fresh Co. and at, I think, 5 or 6 downtown restaurants. So the university is adding $500 to every incoming first-year Brantford student's One Card balance. So that will give them $500 more of disposable income to hopefully spend at those businesses. Or if they know that their groceries are covered, then maybe they're going to go buy something else at the other businesses because they've got that flexibility. Now that initiative, as great as it is, didn't include our graduate students, who it's a small but important cohort, because to me it signals the growth and maturity of the campus that we have grad students, but they also do a lot of community-based research that benefits Brantford directly. So I put a proposal in and Cindy and the board at Enterprise Brant approved it. So we're working out the final details, but they are going to give $500 to every incoming grad student at the Brantford campus. So they also will have the additional funds on their One Card to spend downtown. So really pleased with that news, and hope that it helps us all, you know, recover as best we can. I've shared in past that Suvankam Tamavangsa, who teaches creative writing at our Brantford campus, won the Giller Prize this year from Scotiabank. She was also shortlisted this week for the Ontario Trillium Book Award, so we're excited about that. And I have shared that we're going to do a community event, so we have a date nailed down for that. September 22nd, there will be a virtual community-facing event where folks can listen to a bit of a reading and a Q&A by Eleanor T, who is from Laurier, and she's actually an expert in sort of Asian American and Asian Canadian literature and culture. So I think it'll be a great conversation. So I'll share those details as they get finalized. But that September 22nd then leads into our homecoming weekend, which will also be virtual. And as Jennifer has mentioned, you know, we need as much good stuff to do to divert ourselves right now. And we always have some community-facing components, so people are welcome to come to that as well. Work continues on One Market. The lower level will have the Student Life Levy funded student lounge, we hope by fall, ready. And we've also got pending final budget approval, a sort of phase 1A, what I'm calling is like the rejudging of painting out the One Market building so that sort of grayish, dusty rose 80s tone is out of our lives. And it'll be taking more of a kind of the same palette that we have in the Laurie Bradford YMCA of white with gray and a green. And I think that replicating that color palette signals to the community, this is a university space where all are welcome, it's community too. And then we'll punctuate the purple in the dedicated student areas. And then the Launchpad program I mentioned before did some projects through the Makerspace class with the BIA and presented those. Annette was able to join us. And my understanding is 2 of those groups are in conversation with Launchpad about maybe bringing those ideas to life. So I'll make sure that Annette and Barbara are kept in the loop if they progress and if there's something to come forward with. And certainly Julie Perkins and myself have offered to try and help them navigate funding too, if that's going to be a barrier, because they had some really great ideas. And the final thing I'll share, which is again more virtual, but a good thing that's happening. We know, or if you're engaged with the school system at all, you might know that there is a real struggle to get qualified French teachers right now. And so the 2 local school boards have partnered with Laurier, and they received some funds from the public school, I believe it's Council Association. And we are going to run a French additional qualification course in the summer from the Brantford campus. This is going to have to be virtual, but it's sponsored by the 2 local school boards. And if you know people in the school board who have some French but don't teach it, if they can pass the French qualification exam and they're already a teacher in one of the 2 local boards, they can actually apply for a bursary to have that additional qualification totally paid for. If you know a young person who is trying to get into teaching at the local boards, if they apply to the boards here and then apply to this program, If they are successfully added to the hiring list of the boards, they can also get a bursary to get most of this covered. So we'll have a news release coming out soon on that, but it's just a drop in the bucket in terms of fulfilling the need overall for French teachers. But it's a great partnership that we hope is the beginning of something more. So thanks, everyone.
That's great, Beth. Thank you so much. Yeah, Laurier is such a good partner in our downtown. All right, we'll move on. Gagan Batra, thank you and welcome.
Can everybody hear me? I was having some tech issues earlier.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Barbara. So I have a couple of quick updates I will give. The first is for the downtown Brantford streetscaping project. The project team have been working hard to get this second public information center all set up. We had some meetings with stakeholders, including members of the BIA, a couple of weeks ago, where we presented our options and our alternatives, and we took in that feedback into our presentation. So that was really great. Thank you for providing your feedback that day, Barbara and Annette. And we posted the slides last week, which presented our alternative solution for those roads. And this, I just want to make clear, is an interim PIC. So this is the second public information center, but we are going to be doing a third one in the summer sometime with some more detailed solutions to the roads, where we look at each specific roadway and just outline some more details there. This was more so just presenting the major one-way, two-way conversation and bike lanes and, you know, sidewalk widths. So the next one will have more information though. And those slides were posted last week on Thursday, and they're available on our project webpage. They're available on Let's Talk Brantford. So we are promoting that quite heavily right now. Our public information center is tomorrow at 6 p.m., 6 to 8. And we did send out some flyers because we're trying to get some more public engagement. I know with the virtual live format, it's a little bit difficult always right now to reach people, but I'm hoping we get some people registered tomorrow to speak. And as part of the PIC, we are going to be doing a live presentation, and it's going to be posted on our YouTube page, similarly to how we do our council meetings. And following the live presentation delivered by the project team, we are going to open it up for a Q&A, which will probably be about an hour and a half. And the way people can get involved in that is by registering, and we'll have them attend, and we can, you know, give them access to speak at that point and ask their questions. We'll be there to answer questions live. And for anybody who's not available to attend at that day at the live session, we are going to post the YouTube video at a later date. It's going to be posted on the website instantly, actually. After the live event, it's going to be posted there. And folks will have an additional 2 weeks to submit questions and comments or any feedback that they have, which the project team will then respond to and compile into a list of frequently asked questions, which will be posted on June 3rd, officially ending the second PIC for this project. So that's what where we're at with the downtown streetscaping project. And then the second quick update I wanted to give was the garbage containers. I know it came up last week as well, or last month as well, but I mentioned that at the time that we were going to be using the artwork inserts for a public art competition, which officially launched, I think, a couple of weeks ago for Clean Brantford. And we are promoting that to the elementary and high schools, trying to get some interest and students to submit some artwork about anti-littering that we can post on our bins. So that contest is still ongoing. We're still accepting submissions. So if you could help us promote that, that would be great. We've already received some submissions, which is really great to see, but this is one that we're really excited about. So that's it. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions, Gagan? All right, thank you, Gagan, and we look forward to the next PIC and all the contributions anyone can make to that. Perfect, thank you. All right, Karen Towler from Conestoga.
Yes, just a couple updates. The winter term is just wrapping up this week with the beginning of the spring term starting May 17th. Obviously, due to the travel ban for many of our international students, if any of their programs can be delivered online, some of the students will be Conestoga students, but starting their education in their home country. And then when it is safe to do so and the bans are lifted, they will transition here, hopefully by fall, if not by winter, depending on the length of their program. We are still continuing delivering curriculum in the same format as we have for winter, for spring, and our pandemic committee is watching vaccinations and the provincial rollout closely. We will not be turning the switch and all of a sudden everything will be back to normal. I have been informed that it'll be a very gradual and slow process over fall, and hopefully by winter we will have some new normal. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that the activity at the airport still continues with our trades, and we are working hard to contribute to the workforce, as John had alluded to earlier in a conversation, as well as in working on enhancing the workforce around essential workers with PSW programs. We are running a PSW program here in Brantford at 274 Colburn Street, and we are very pleased that the provincial government has sponsored over 1,000 PSWs to be trained throughout Conestoga, throughout the entire province of Ontario, where they receive free tuition, including free CPR, uniforms, etc. And people are wanting to take our PSW program, and some may transition through the course into nursing and other roles as well. But we are delivering PSW here in Brantford. I have been informed that James Uhas, who is the manager of the Brantford campus, who had been seconded to work at the registrar's role in the pandemic, will be returning back to his role at the Brantford campus sometime in June. We still have activity at 274 Colburn Street around the IELTS testing as well. And that's all my updates.
Thank you, Karen. That's all good news from Conestoga too. Excellent. All right, 7.7, we welcome Shaylin Harris. Shaylin's new to our group here, and Associate Vice President, University Affairs Laurier, and Shaylin's replacing Brooke Snyder on our group. Welcome, Shaylin.
Thank you. I'm very excited to get to know everyone and really learn about how the downtown Brantford BIA really benefits businesses, as well as including Laurier. Basically, my role is the same as Brooke's in that I advocate on behalf of the student body. So this year we're just kind of looking at different priorities and the ways in which students can both benefit from downtown businesses and the ways in which we can provide back to our community.
Thank you, Shaylin. All right, Sergeant Grantham.
Thank you. I don't have a lot. One thing, I think Annette, you got the email. It was a little bit late because we've had a lot going on this last week. You can really see with the drop off for our beat members, like I said earlier, we're presently down to none. We do still have John Balone kind of temporarily, but the arrests have gone down dramatically for beats. There's only 8 for the month last month. John Balone was at 120 Market Street on Sunday. We've had a bunch of issues there that are continuing. And I understand that someone other than the property owner has paid to have that boarded up, which is unfortunate. It should be the property owner that should kind of take responsibility for that, but we don't have control of that. We're doing what we can with very limited resources, as you guys are aware. I think what's really kept me the busiest, because I'm also in charge of our emergency response team, we've had a number of operations where we've gone out of town. We made 2 separate arrests for the homicides that we've had recently, done a search warrant out of town in Brampton as well. And then we took down an armed person in Toronto by the airport. So obviously I can't give a lot of details because that investigation is still ongoing and we're probably going to be pulled for that even more. So Blake Vokey, who is our one remaining beat guy, has been pulled into one of the homicides to assist. There's a lot of investigation still to go. So he's in a support role with that. And I'm hoping it won't be too long before he's back. Our auxiliary program, because of the COVID-19 pandemic that's ongoing, has been again put on hold. And other than that, I don't really have a lot of details. As I've said before, any of the issues that come up, you have to call us. They will be prioritized. And as you guys know, we're coming into the summer now. There's going to be a lot more calls for service, a lot more major incidents, and then as well, a lot more what we're experiencing now with our homeless, where they're downtown, they're trying to find shelter and whatnot. So we still do act as an outreach as well and try to get them into our various places where they can stay. But I think Dwight brought it up. There are some people that they don't want to be in a shelter. They don't feel safe in a shelter. They like being outside. So it's more of a choice. So we do what we can to help them out. We have a lot of referrals into the other services for the city, but ultimately there's only so much that we can do with these cases, except for try to assist them where we can. So I think that's all I have for updates. And then if anyone has any questions, then I'll hopefully have the answer.
Any questions of Sergeant Grantham? Go ahead, Carrie.
I was just wondering, this question isn't really for you, Sergeant Grantham, but I was wondering about washrooms downtown, whether there's going to be any available this summer. Councillor Utley or Jennifer, do you know anything?
I'm not sure, but I can look into that.
Okay, that'd be great. Like last summer, I think they had the porta potty or whatever it's called, in Harmony Square, and then the Parks and Rec office there kind of monitored it. So yeah, if you can find out if that's going to happen again, that'd be great.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Madam Chair, I'm not aware of any washrooms going downtown or mobile washrooms going downtown. Councillor Wall may, but I'm not aware of anything. But we can, with Jennifer, we can follow up on this and get an answer for you.
So I've looked into the washrooms downtown since before once the pandemic began. One of the first calls I got was about, what are you doing about washrooms downtown?
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest concern with washrooms downtown is, this is not a direct quote, but it's provincial regulations about cleanliness of the bathrooms. They would need to be wiped down and sanitized after every single use. And that would have to come from taxpayer dollars, from city staff would have to, that was the understanding that I was giving, that it's not a matter of not being able to provide the bathrooms. It's we're in the middle of a global pandemic and there's certain health standards that have to be applied to those bathrooms. So if we can find a way around providing sanitary restrooms, then we, you know what I mean? Like it's a very large conversation to have. So it's not that it's impossible to provide bathrooms, it's whether or not it's a feasible thing that we can provide, right? Many people here are business owners. You guys have bathrooms and you have to keep those clean, right? So again, that was kind of a way of fumbling over it, but I mean, it's been an ongoing conversation about bathrooms in the downtown.
Thank you, Councillor Wall. All right. Any questions of Sergeant Grantham before we move on? All right. Thank you, Chris, very much. All right. Do we have city updates with Councillor Wall or Councillor Utley?
So it's Councillor Utley's first return back. I wasn't sure if he wanted to go first, if you had anything, or maybe you can back me up. I've taken some notes from our last council meetings of things that I think relate to the downtown.
I can't, thank you, Josh.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything right now, but being my first meeting, I'm kind of getting my feet wet again. I hope to be better prepared at the next meeting.
I'm going to be counting on you to back me up with the complicated questions board members are going to
All
ask.
right.
And Gagan, I'm going to ask for your help as well, if you don't mind. So these are the things that I took note from the last couple of council committee meetings since our last board meeting. So there was a very healthy and long discussion about security at council, which relates directly to the downtown. And to kind of sum it up, council kind of basically went with the status quo. We didn't cancel the program, which I think is great. The program is going to continue. It's not going to be much different for the downtown core, but it was talked about expanding the program into other parts of the city, and it just determined that it wasn't exactly feasible right now. I believe that that's kind of a good, accurate update on what happened with the security proposal. And Stephen Ramnath is available if this board would ever want to call on him to come and have speak. We also have Gagan here, who's quite amazing, and Councillor Utley as well. Next, the Rainbow Crosswalk. That's something I'm very proud of. I'm very excited that I think it's going to be a beautiful thing for our downtown core. And Gagan, are we telling people where it's going to be yet?
Yeah, it's been decided. It's going to go at the crosswalk in front of the library.
Amazing. So I think that that's going to be a beautiful spot to celebrate Pride. It is intended to be installed for Pride, which is in June. So that is coming very soon. And I think there's something just fitting about a Pride crosswalk being installed across one of the oldest roads in the entire country. I just think it's incredible. It's also right there on the Laurier campus. Tens of thousands of people are going to cross that sidewalk every day, and it's a great symbol of our unity. The downtown Brantford Business Improvement Area composition. We have 2 brand new members. That was exciting. We already talked about it at the beginning of the meeting, but Lizanna, thank you so much for volunteering and being on the board. We're happy to have you, and everyone was excited to see your name when we and then Councillor Utley, welcome back. Thanks. You were here before I was, and you're an incredible advocate for Brantford and our downtown, and we're just thankful to have you here. And I said it at the beginning of the meeting, but I'll say it again. You guys are all volunteers. You don't have to be here. You're all incredible human beings, and thank you so much for stepping forward. Next up was the noise bylaw. Okay, so that was a huge discussion. How does that exactly relate to the downtown? Well, there's a lot of noise in the downtown. Councillor Van Tilborg moved a motion. It was seconded. It was put on the floor. It was ultimately deferred for more public consultation. There's a ton of controversy about whether or not we should have a 24-hour noise bylaw. And I really think that as members of this community, business owners and members of this board, that you guys should have a say as individuals and as a board. So I hope that when this comes back to council, you'll consider either a delegation or sending a letter for or against, or maybe with some proposed ideas that you have. Ultimately, though, should it be against the bylaw to make noise? And that's definitely a conversation worth having. Councillor Vanderstel moved forward with a new customer code of conduct, which I thought was a very beautiful thing. I won't dive too deep in it, but ultimately it's about respect. We all need to respect one another, not just people who are on boards, not just politicians to the public, but the public to the politicians and the members of city staff. The pandemic has caused some really hard times, and common courtesy and respect seems to be just going out the window. And, the employees who work for the city of Brantford in all facets are just amazing, incredible human beings who deserve to be treated with respect. And I don't think that they should expect anything less. And they should also be respectful to the people that they're talking to. So that was just a really great, beautiful conversation. Props to Councillor Vanderstel for moving that forward. The restoration of the Brant War Memorial. I think everyone was aware that the torches were stole off the cenotaph, and that's just an absolute disgusting, deplorable sign of the times. That's going to cost up to $30,000 of taxpayer dollars to put back, though the amazing Sarah Monroe over at Economic Development, I think, has found a very creative way to have that replaced and repaired, and I won't steal her thunder, but ultimately I had calls and calls and emails and messages from people wanting to donate. That was just such a beautiful thing. People saying, how disrespectful it is to disgrace a memorial like that, and how can they take out their pocketbook and help replace. And I thought that was beautiful. The flagpoles in Harmony Square, who's excited about that? I'm excited about that. I said it at council, some of my most fondest memories in the downtown core are in Harmony Square. And to be able to go to Harmony Square and see these beautiful 4 flagpoles with our provincial flag, our city flag, something like a pride flag, and then a Harmony Square flag, how cool is that? I wonder if it'll have Harmony Squirrel on it. There was a lot of jabber online about, you know, the cost of the flagpoles, et cetera, et cetera. To me, you know, the ability to be able to raise a pride, to raise a flag in pride is something that, you know, backing onto the war memorial, is a right that was given to us at an unimaginable cost. And every good city hall needs to have a flagpole. We're going to have 4. It's going to be in our civic square across the street from City Hall. And I can't wait to see it and go there for celebrations. And then finally, amendments to the City of Brantford zoning bylaw regarding short-term rental accommodations. That was last night. It was a long conversation with many delegations and presenters. It is going to be coming to council at the end of the month. We don't know where it's going to go from there, but essentially there are no regulations for short-term rental accommodations in the city right now. That's things like Airbnbs, et cetera, and many people think that there should be. There might be some people here who have some very strong opinions on it, but ultimately, you know, regulations, no regulations, what are the regulations, parking requirements, how long you can stay, what you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do, how many are allowed to be on a city block, whether you can have one next door to another. Do you have to be a property owner in Brantford to own one of these things? Can people from out of town buy houses in Brantford just to turn them into Airbnbs? It's a hell of a conversation if you want to take part or you want to watch, because it is going to change the way that people visit our community and stay in our community. It's also going to affect the real estate market. It's going to impact property values. It's going to impact neighborhoods. And many cities' downtowns are filled with short-term accommodations. And I mentioned this at the last BIA meeting, but I will say it again. Typically, if somebody starts operating a business in the downtown core, they want to become a part of the BIA, but you can only become a part of the BIA if you're a BIA levy paying member, which is paid by your landlord if you're renting in a property. Would an Airbnb that's operating a business in the downtown core be a part of the BIA, or would they be somehow, like, I feel like it's a conversation worth having by this board, because it's a business and they're in the downtown. So how would they either apply, or would they be ineligible? I feel like there's some way for our board to be involved. So that was a lot, but lots of stuff happens at council, and I wanted to provide you guys with a thorough report. If you have any questions about it, I'm always available. Councillor Utley, take it away.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, through you, and thank you, Councillor Wall. There is one thing that comes to mind, and something Councillor Sless and I have been working on for some time, is to develop waterfront parks. And the city owns a property that runs west from Long Bridge along Grand River Ave to where the housing starts. I don't know, can't recall how many acres it is, but I'll be introducing a resolution soon to come up with a process that introduces bringing the land up to the same height as the dike. There are no parks within the city that have access or view of our beautiful river. So we're going to be looking for input from BIA and the city as a whole as to what that park may look like. My own personal vision is, because of its close proximity to the downtown, or as part of the downtown, is that part of that first park may have a small band shell for non-amplified music. So you book it for an hour to play a guitar or violin or sing, and people can bring their own lawn chairs and sit and enjoy the music and the beauty of the river. We're looking at 2 or 3 parks in total. So this first one will be downtown for sort of light entertainment and gathering, and maybe some kids' playground equipment. The second one may be a family park where families can go and have a picnic or a barbecue and gain playground equipment. And the third would be a passive park where you just enjoy the peace and the quiet and the beauty of the river. So this is all in a concept stage right now, and we're going to be reaching out to the BIA and the city as a whole to provide their input and ideas to what these parks may look like. This will be a long-term, maybe 5 to 10 year project, but you know, we've got to start somewhere, and the first start is filling up that that first land with earth to bring it up to the same level as the so another, and it's just in the idea stage right now, is we're looking at a museum art complex, and I'm not sure where that's going to go at this stage. One of my concept there is to have a working model of the downtown as it was in the 1850s, and it would be a scale model, and again using somebody like Murray Angus to duplicate all the buildings and stores and the names and the telegraph poles and so on, is to, you know, over time have that scale model in this facility, where I think it would be a huge attraction for both citizens of Brantford and visitors and schools, you know, kids that want to see what our downtown looked like all those, you know, 100 years or so ago. So I'll leave it at that, Madam Chair, and look forward to further discussions. You know, at some point I'm going to be asking for some discussion on litter and waste in the downtown area. So and the city as a whole. But I just want to put BIA on notice that that's something that's very, very near and dear to my heart, and would like some discussion on that and initiatives as to how we can work together on that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Utley, and thank you, Councillor Wall. I'm noticing a trend here, and the trend is, regardless of COVID, we're moving forward, we're anticipating good times, and we're preparing for them all around this table. And you know, I'm enthused by it, and I think it's a good sign of what we're heading into as this community, and I'm very proud to be part of this awesome community. All right, do we have city staff updates? Any others other than Goggin and Jennifer or May? I don't think so. Okay. Were there any? Oh, I'm sorry, Kathy, go ahead.
Sorry, I have a question for the counselors, through you, Barbara. Councillor Wall and Councillor Utley. First of all, Councillor Utley, great idea on focusing on some parks with our infill projects in the city now with higher density living. We've got all these apartments and condos being built. We need actually the green space, right? So fantastic. But my question is when it comes to regulations, and Councillor Wall, you brought up the word regulations. And my question is there no limit to retail sales of cannabis? Being a property manager, we keep having inquiries from different people wanting to open up businesses selling cannabis. And I don't quite understand why they're popping up every time you turn around in the corner, there's another retail business selling cannabis. So is there no restrictions on how many we're going to have in the city?
So forgive me, it might be better to call upon staff to answer this question maybe at an upcoming meeting. But as far as I'm aware, the only limitations on opening up cannabis operations in the city of Brantford are proximity to schools. And there were some other slight rules, but essentially once Pandora's box was open on that, it becomes a matter of its own regulations, which are not necessarily municipal. So it's a matter of, as long as you fit all the criteria and the property owner allows it, and you're not within such proximity of a school, you could have, and it's not something that can be bylawed. It's not something that and again, don't quote me on that. I would really like to defer to staff on it, but yeah, you're not the only one calling and asking about, oh, hey, Gagan's here. She seems to have her hand up.
Yeah, so when the city approved the cannabis retail sale, Kathy, at the time, the province didn't set any limitations on the number. It was, as Councillor Wall had said, the sensitive locations was the only limitation. I don't believe the legislation has changed as of yet, but yeah, one of the things is that the province doesn't indicate how the maximum number of stores that are allowed to operate in the city.
Okay.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead.
To the best of my recollection, there are no limits, as Councillor Wallace said, on the number of outlets, and I think that as a city, that tries to control these activities. Hands are tied with provincial and federal legislation. Our job as a city is to enforce bylaws, to make sure that they're not in close proximity to schools and so on, as has been noted. So I think the market will probably level out at some point, Kathy, where you can only have so many outlets, and so they're not making much of a profit anymore. So the province is looking to generate as much revenue as possible through these outlets, and minimize the number of illegal sales of cannabis and in the province. So it's a sort of a wait and see what happens at this point. But they are very, very popular, I can tell you. I've heard stories of taking up all the parking lots in the strip mall. So that's that popular, from start, from opening to closing the facility. It's pretty amazing.
Well, thank you. It's been very challenging as a property manager because, we do manage property in the downtown, and we've got, fortunately, we have a landlord for commercial space at Harmony Square that they've said no to it. Like, there's one right across from the federal building, so the city hall is all set up, but someone else wants to open one in Harmony Square. That's not even half a block distance from each other. And I'm sorry, with all of the events that go on in Harmony Square, I'm really glad that the landlord for this commercial location in Harmony Square actually said no to the offer they got through a real estate agent. So, or you'd have, how many are going to end up around the downtown with these events, and you got children playing on the splash pad, and you could have a cannabis store right there. And I'm sorry, I don't think these are high-end businesses where people are buying it and taking it right home. I would hate to see someone, come out of the store and sit down on a park bench and light up. So it's not easy, not easy. So it's still a required distance then from schools. That's still a requirement.
May I address just a couple?
I would like to use that as leverage to help our landlords make decisions that, hey, you're right beside the university, you can't go there.
Gagan, would it be possible for you to gather any information regarding the regulation of cannabis operations and email it not only to Kathy, but to Annette maybe for distribution to board members?
That would be great.
And then two addressing of your concerns. I mean, I don't know this is not going to make you happy, but I mean, there are strict rules about smoking in parks. So that is an enforceable bylaw that can be enforced. And if you see that kind of behavior, obviously, I'm sorry, I feel whatever. And then cannabis stores also have very strict requirements of how they're allowed to look. They have to have their windows blacked, or they can't be see-through. They can't be clearly advertising. Yeah, so it's not like the LCBO. I mean, it is kind of like the LCBO, but they're not allowed to, besides like the great big green glowing cannabis leaf on the front of their stores, I guess, they're not allowed to be clearly like advertising paraphernalia or cannabis, and the windows have to be blocked. But I think in the information that Gagan sends, and then definitely if you want to be a part of the conversation regarding cannabis regulation in the province, that's definitely something that maybe we could invite our provincial representative to come and hear, or something you might want to consider lobbying to your provincial representative, because once it was made legal, it falls out of our jurisdiction, right?
Madam Chair, if I could just add one more item that.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Am I okay to go?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. The cannabis store can't be in close proximity to a school, but on Paris Road there's St. John's College, and they go to this fabulous Tim Hortons store on Paris Road, just down about maybe half a kilometer away. And I think in that same strip mall is a cannabis outlet. So all the kids are lined up, going, waiting to get into the store to place their order. And there they are lining up right outside this cannabis store. So it kind of makes a mockery of that distancing, that it doesn't always work out as planned on paper. In reality, it can be something very different.
Thank you, Councillor.
That is a fabulous store, right, Kerry?
Okay. Annette, did you have a comment? Saw your hand up.
Yeah, just a couple. In case board members aren't aware, we have one currently operating on Dalhousie Street. The police were able to close an illegal one on King Street. And I'm going to list the ones that are still awaiting approval at the AGCO. We have True North Cannabis Company that will be opening at 150 West Street. Pink Alien opening at 204 Dalhousie. Cannabis Center, 235 Market Street, which will be right across the road from True North. And Ganja Garden opening at 18 Market Street, which is between Colburn and Dalhousie. So we have 4 waiting for approvals. So that will be 5 downtown, plus one right across the road from True North, which is outside of the BIA area. All levy paying members.
Okay. I think to move forward on this, perhaps the board and the executive, it seems that this perhaps bears further discussion and at another time in another format. And we'll take Councillor Wall's suggestion and Councillor Utley's, and let's see if we can, if this is a concern, which I see that it is, we'll reconvene around this subject at a future meeting, if I may suggest that. Okay. Oh, Dwight?
Just wanted to make one comment here, and it seems awfully funny here. We have a controlled beer and alcohol system here that is really controlled with a number of outlets, and the government runs it. Yet, on the other hand, with legalized cannabis now, it seems like a free-for-all with everything. And in fact, you could go outside and smoke a joint, but you can't go outside and drink a beer or have an alcoholic drink in your hand, or you'll get charged. So there has to be, I think, some regulation on this, and I don't think the alcohol and drug they're doing a proper job on this. I mean, I don't know why it's just a free for all with everything, but there needs to be some oversight for sure. I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dwight. All right. Any other discussion? Go ahead, Beth.
Just a quick point to make, because per the conversation, the province, it was sort of an opt-in or opt-out on the municipal side. And once you were in, you were all in with very limited control, which I believe is why Brantford took a pass the first time around. But I just wondered if maybe through your contacts with other BIAs and similar sized communities, maybe you want to reach out and see if they're feeling the same thing. Because if there is a desire to have some kind of regulation or more, flexibility and guidelines on the part of downtowns and communities to manage this better, because it is a provincial issue, you're going to have more luck if you collectively come at the province and your individual representatives on a topic like that. So,
yeah. All right, good point. And we will look into what the Ontario BIA Association is dealing with on this as well. All right, if we can move on. Are there any committee reports? I don't know if any of the committees are actually meeting very often, but okay, seeing none. We have one more open discussion item, but anything else for the good of the BIA? Dwight, go ahead.
I just wanted to bring something up, and it had to do with our filling our vacancies on our board here. And we've been struggling, and that's been struggling with the current clerk here as to clarification here. And it was brought to our attention that when we submit names for suitable applicants to council there for approval here now, there was a policy set in place back in 2007 that we had to, if we had one vacancy, we had to supply more than one name to choose from to fill that vacancy. And we just recently supplied 2 names because we had 2 vacancies, but we only got one filled. And I am under the understanding, we checked into that, and this policy has been updated various years. I think the last time was 2013, 2020. So I think that policy needs to be, it's a policy, so council can strike that policy down. I don't see where, this is an election for a board replacement. This is the name we put forward, and if it's a credible name, then they can choose to appoint that person or not appoint them. But it isn't an election, so I think this policy needs to be adjusted. That's what I'm saying, and that's I'll put that to Councillor Dudley and Councillor Wall. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dwight. All right, any notices of motion? None. Oh, Jennifer, go ahead.
Sorry, I have a quick update about the washrooms. Vicky got back to me. So there's been ongoing dialogue with the washrooms that are behind the Harmony office, the condo corp. And she doesn't see an issue or a resolution to the issue being resolved anytime soon. And then due to COVID and social issues, there won't be a permanent portable washroom in the square this summer. So no washrooms. Sad update, but just thought I would give you that.
Oh, that's great, Jennifer. Thank you so much for doing that. All right, we're down to our next meeting, which is June 9th. And may I have a motion to adjourn? Dwight, and second by Kathy. All in favor? Thank you. Have a great day, everyone. The sun's shining. Take care. Be safe.
Good to see you all again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye now.